investigative series continues tonight. How a powerful explosion shook a Leland neighborhood, and now, nearly 1 year later, homeowners are still searching for answers. WECT's Connor Smith joining us with tonight's special report. Now, Connor, neighbors say they still have questions about what happened the night of the explosion.
Yeah, that's right, John. This week marks 1 year since that explosion. Officially, the cause of the blast is listed as undetermined. Neighbors I talked to say they wish investigators had given them more answers. The Leland Fire Department closed its investigation less than 2 months after the explosion. The town told us this was a vapor explosion, but they weren't sure what exactly exploded or what ignited it. 3 homes are still under construction today, with some neighbors unable to move back in. Martin Schmidt lives on Suncrest Way, where the explosion happened. He says over the last year, neighbors have never gotten a true answer on what happened, leaving him wondering if something like this could happen again.
No one really told us anything. Not the fire commissioner, not the police department, no one. Give us a straight answer, tell us what happened.
Now, late this afternoon, we learned Leland's town manager will address this investigation tomorrow morning for the first time since it was closed back in July. You can hear his response tomorrow night at 6. John?
All right, Connor. Now, we reported last night that the town had not answered our questions about the explosion. We do want to clarify that tonight, right?
Yeah, that's right, John. We have been in active discussions with Leland officials this week about getting answers to the questions we have about this explosion. And the town did just send us a statement that reads in part, quote, "While we understand some community members continue to have questions regarding the incident, the town remains confident the investigation was handled seriously, professionally, and based on the information and evidence available." You can read that full statement right now inside your WECT News app. Now, last night at 6, I said that nobody involved with this investigation would answer our questions about the explosion. What we should have said is that at that time, we did have an open standing invitation sent multiple times to the town of Leland to comment or answer our questions about the explosion. The town's communication department contacted us last night via text message after that report aired at 6, saying they were upset that they didn't get a chance to comment before that report aired. Tonight, I can tell you that after weeks of communication with the town, including 2 phone calls earlier today, town officials did send us that statement that we just referenced and also agreed to that interview tomorrow morning. And John, again, we will have the town manager's response airing tomorrow night at 6.
All right, look forward to that, Connor, and to the rest of your reporting this week. Thanks.